Welcome back to another podcast from Open Adventures. My name is Sriram, and today I have here with me a guest who owns a Tiger 850 Sport, and his name is Chethan. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Chethan.
Ram, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to do this.
What bikes have you owned before?
Okay, so the first motorized vehicle I owned was a Kinetic Honda in '96.
Okay.
Yeah, so post that, when I joined engineering, my parents got me a CBZ. This was in 2000, so that was an aspirational bike back then.
Yep. After the CBZ, what happened?
So I rode that bike up to 2004, and for a period of 10 years, I didn't own any bike. Yeah. Okay. I didn't ride, but I tried. So I always wanted a high-powered bike. So most of the bikes in India back then were single-cylinder bikes, as you were. So I was like looking through various forums to see whether we could import a bike, but there was a lot of grey area. You had to import from Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai.
Okay.
The papers weren't right. I had a couple of friends who were importing and who were running the bikes in Bangalore, but it was a lot of hassle.
Okay.
So there was one bike called the Suzuki 650 SV, I think.
Okay.
So that made sense, but I mean, again, getting it, importing it was a big headache. So I was like, forget it, let me not ride a bike till they officially launch something in India. And by, I don't know what you would say, Providence, in 2013, I think the end, Kawasaki came in a big way in India. So they launched their lineups, the ZX, the Versys, and also the Z series.
Correct.
So in 2014, I picked up a Z800.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was a good bike. It was powerful. It was nice. So so when you ride it on a highway, right? These bikes, you start finding the drawbacks. One, there's no wind protection.
Right.
There's a lot of wind blast.
Correct.
And two, on a long journey, there is an effect on your back. I'm talking about like 250, 300 kilometers plus.
Right.
In terms of the kilometers, not the speed. So everything else was good. The acceleration, it gave me the thrills, the adrenaline rush and everything. But because it wasn't very comfortable for me.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people...
a lot of them have different opinions on that bit, but I think if you're a tall person and if you're trying to go into a stance which is going to be way too forward for a very long time, trust me, your back is going to kill you and your wrists are going to give up at one given point.
True, yeah. Yeah, so I had that bike for a year and a half.
Okay.
I rode it extensively. I took it out of station in the city and stuff like that. I loved the creamy nature of the engine, beautiful inline 4 engine. And yeah, I sold that after a year and a half. And I didn't have a bike till 2019.
Why?
I don't know, yeah.
How were you commuting?
I was using a car, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, I suddenly get bitten by these...
FOMO moments.
Yeah, where I need a bike.
Okay.
And then I start doing my research and then see which. So honestly, I didn't have anybody riding an adventure bike back then. So then I decided, let me buy the the Kawasaki Ninja SX1000.
Okay.
The 1000cc bike.
So how was your journey with that bike?
Very comfortable bike.
A liter class.
A liter class bike. Powerful, again, creamy inline 4, very good braking. But the problem, see, I'm only 60 kgs. So I had a problem in moving the bike. Riding the bike, absolutely no problem. Backtracking the bike and then pushing it was a big challenge for me, frankly. Yeah. So I needed some help. So it was pretty awkward. And then long commute was again tiring because the wind protection was so. It wasn't very good, even though you had
the fairings and everything.
Yeah, fairings, and plus you had the windshield, the adjustable windshield. But otherwise, it was a good bike. So I had that bike for a year, and then 2020, and then COVID hit, and so this was when I started researching as to which bike I actually need. Do I need the horsepower? What is the my requirement?
Okay.
So I narrowed down to an adventure bike finally.
Right.
Yeah. So comfortable seating position, an upright seating position, no pressure on the wrists, and wind protection. Because see, eventually, right, you get tired riding at high speed. Above 120, the wind hitting your chest and shoulders, that tires you.
True, very true.
So I think it's an evolution, right? You want initially you want something fast, you want something racy, and then you realize, oh, you're getting old. Need something more comfortable.
Right.
See, another aspect what I discovered was you need good luggage carrying capacity when you're doing touring. So even though it comes with the pannier racks, it's not as comfortable, especially when you're taking a pillion.
Okay.
So when you brake, right, the tendency is to put the whole weight on you, and then again there's pressure on the wrist and the back and stuff. So I mean, all these factors, the low ground clearance, and you need to like come to a dead halt. So basically, even though the bike's fast, you're not covering distance.
Right.
So so it pushed me towards buying a adventure bike.
And you came down to your Tiger.
Tiger, yeah.
What were the other bikes in your mind before you opted in for the Tiger? What was the research guiding you? Which were the bikes that you were completely interested in?
Okay, so back then, right, I think Honda had just launched the Transalp, but it wasn't available in India.
Okay.
And BMW had the 850 GS.
Yeah.
And Tiger itself had a complete lineup. Initially I started off looking at the 660.
Okay.
The Tiger 660 Sport.
Okay.
And then the Tiger 850 Sport, the GT Tiger, the 900, and then the Rally Pro.
All right.
So the Tiger range itself had a comprehensive range of bikes.
Okay.
For me, as I told you earlier, the pretty important consideration was weight.
Okay.
And the 660 I ruled out quickly because of the road biased tires. And I read a lot of reviews which said that it's not much of an off-roader.
Okay.
I mean, even I'm not an off-road rider, but I need basic off-road capability.
Correct.
And so I basically looked at the Tiger spectrum. I mean, the entire range. So the 900 GT, more power than the 850. Suspension travel, the chassis, everything's the same. It's got more features. You have cruise control. You have heated grips.
Right.
And the same suspension travel also, 180 mm suspension travel. The braking is the same. Yeah, so for an additional amount of power and cruise control, I think made sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I missed that feature on my 850 Sport. The quick shifter, which I've got done on my 850. I got it initially factory fitted itself.
All right.
Heated grips in India don't make sense, is what I feel. Yeah, unless you're riding up north, Ladakh and whatever. So for me the another factor was the 850 Sport came with the 80-20 tires.
Okay.
That's 80% road bias and 20% off-road. The Brits, the Michelin Anakes.
Okay.
So for me that was a main consideration.
Okay.
Because I wanted that option of doing slight off-road.
Right.
Maybe not technical trail, but slight off-road because I go to my farm and there are trails around it. There's a forest where I can ride and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And then there was the other lineup, which was the Rally Pro lineup with the 240 mm suspension travel. So the main factor why I didn't buy that was the weight.
Okay.
The 850 Sport was listed at 192 kgs dry.
Right.
Which comes out to around 212 weight with all the fluids in, with a full tank of fuel and with your oils and everything. Whereas this was around 232.
Ooh.
Yeah, so there was a big difference.
Very big difference.
And then I asked myself, am I really going to go off-road so often? The answer was no.
Okay. So I want to ask you one more question here. While we are discussing about the entire Tiger lineup, why should somebody pick up the 850 Sport over the GT 900?
Okay, so one, as I told you, the tires. Yeah, you want to do slight off-roading. Otherwise, you'll have to change the entire tire set.
Right.
Suspension travel is the same. Both the 180 mm, 180 mm. See, I'm somebody who won't adjust the bike.
Right.
There's only preload adjustment on the 850 Sport for the rear. If you have a pillion, you tweak it a little, clockwise, anti-clockwise, whatever, and then you get the right setting, and that's it. So I'm somebody who doesn't fiddle with my bike.
Okay.
So for somebody who doesn't fiddle with the preload and all that stuff with the dampening settings, it works good.
Okay.
And the additional features on the 900 are additional power, which you're only going to feel on the high end rev range.
Right.
Not in the lower mid. It doesn't make a difference, right? So if somebody who's looking at that high end performance, slightly more, maybe 5-10% more, you can look at that. I didn't want that, frankly, and a lot of unwanted accessories on that. Yeah, which you want to spend another 2 lakhs more. Plus, people don't talk about this. You spend more on the bike, you also pay road tax, additional road tax.
Absolutely. So overall, it's just I would say that 900 is just a little bit of, I would say, luxury accessorizing a little bit.
Yeah, because see, the brakes are the same. You get the 320mm Brembo Stylomer brake with the radial braided calipers and the master cylinder.
Suspensions are the same.
Suspension is the same, chassis is the same. Yeah.
And the 850 and the 900 GT. What is the biggest price difference there?
I think it's 2 lakhs. This is around 1195 ex showroom, and that's 1395. But now they've revised it. I think it's gone up by another 20,000 because they've got a retuned engine which produces another 10 bhp and another 5 Newton meters of torque.
Okay.
Yeah, for the 900 GT. Yeah.
And coming down to your bike, can you give us the price and the specs of your bike?
Okay, so the ex showroom is 1195 or 1199.
Okay.
It depends on the accessories again. I've taken an extended warranty.
Okay.
I've taken the sump guard, the radiator guard, and I've put a bi-directional quick shifter.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, which is around 38,000. Yeah,
38,000
with the
and
installation.
That's from the company.
From the company, yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Now, what did it overall come up to?
I think close to 15.75, around in that range. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so this is without the other additional accessories I've put.
Without the additional accessories.
Yeah.
So how much is the accessories?
Okay, so the accessories I've used on my bike are GV and SW Motec.
Okay.
So I've got the engine crash guard. I've got the pannier racks from GV. I ran the windshield, the standard windshield, for 6 months.
Okay.
It was good, but I thought, let me upgrade that. So I've got a GV windscreen, the windscreen, and I would say it's improved by another 10-15%. And one important accessory which I put is the heat deflectors.
Heat deflectors.
Yeah. So in the city, the bike gets heated up. All the big bikes, it's a high compression engine. People don't talk about it. It becomes, sometimes I ride with the shorts. Yeah, I mean, like local commute. Yeah,
who wouldn't?
Yeah. So and then my knees and my feet get really heated, especially if it's slow moving traffic. So this is a cheap accessory. I think it's around $6,000. Basically, it deflects the heat down. It's a small device. It's a black color device on near the where the radiator wings are, and it forces the air down, the hot air.
Explain us a little bit more about that particular device, because this is the first time I'm hearing about this device. Probably I think I might be living under a rock for a bit, but this is something very interesting.
So it's a small triangular kind of shaped device which you put near the radiator where the air comes, the tank actually, you fit it to the tank, and this deflects the hot air down.
Instead to your thighs.
Yeah, instead of the thighs and your feet.
And where do you get this?
A friend of mine, I mean, he accessorizes my bike.
Okay.
A friend named Vikas.
Okay.
So he owns this garage called V Performance.
Okay.
So all my accessories have been bought through him.
Super. Probably we'll leave a link in the bio for this particular accessory. How much does it cost?
It's around 5-6K. The winglet.
So this is these are 2 winglets.
Yeah, 2 winglets on either side of the radiator.
Right. Okay, this is super cool.
See, the other accessories are expensive.
Okay.
The SW Motec, the crash guard is around 28-29K.
Okay.
The racks again, the GV pannier racks are costly, close to 30K. So the accessories are expensive.
Right.
Yeah. So it would go up to a lakh and 20.
Ooh.
For protection.
Right.
Basic. I'm talking
Basic
about basic.
protection.
You can do much more things. I haven't done, change the exhaust and all that.
Okay.
So my theory is simple. I'm going to wear the helmet. Why should I spend money for other people to hear my bike? So honestly, that's my thought process.
So I'm going to go ahead and get into the specifics of your bike. I want to understand about the design and the road presence of your bike. How do you feel is the design, and how was it on the road?
Okay, so one more reason why I picked up the 850 Sport was the color combination.
Right.
It's a little more bright. It's got a red livery as compared to either the complete white or the complete black of the GT Sport.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel it's a long bike. It's a narrow bike.
Okay.
And ergonomically, it's a fantastic bike.
Lovely.
Because of the low seat height, you have an option, so you can move it from 830 mm down to 810 mm. So I'm around 5'9".
So the ergos are great.
Yeah, ergos are great, even while riding and stuff. And I can keep both my feet planted.
Okay. And can you saddle on the bike as well? I mean, not saddling, but is it comfortable to just go ahead and stand on the bike and go ahead?
Absolutely. I've done mild off-road trails.
Okay.
And standings. I would say very good to stand. Yeah, without any handlebar extenders, nothing is required. For my height and my length, it's good.
Okay.
So the seats, not narrow, not wide. It's good enough. See, because people talk about the seat height.
Right.
Also, you need to look at the seat width, because if the width is quite broad, you can't keep your feet again down.
That's right.
Yeah. So the seat is perfect. Very comfortable seat. The handlebars are nice, nice and wide. Not too wide. Perfect for my dimensions.
Okay.
And it's a well balanced bike, I would say.
Right.
And it's lighter than the other bikes. Right. See, backtracking, nobody talks about this. Backtracking, when you park it on a slope, you need to always plan and park it.
True.
Because otherwise you need to call somebody, is embarrassing. So you need to turn around and so that you can power up. So
Super.
People don't talk about all these things. How much ever you work out your calves, how much ever you work out your legs.
You're gonna end up
frankly, people don't talk about all these things. So
True.
Yeah.
So now that you spoke about the ergos, I want to know a little bit more about the handling of the bike.
It's a very nimble bike, very well balanced. I've touched the foot peg so many times on the tarmac. You can really tilt the bike.
Okay. How's it on, if you're going to be cornering in the twisties?
Yeah.
Do you think it's a safe bike?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very well balanced bike.
Okay.
Neutral handling. You can really tilt the bike, as I said, and you feel confident.
Right.
Even though it's a 80-20, the Michelin tires do a fantastic job.
Right.
Yeah, and the chassis is very well tuned.
Okay.
And one more important thing. See why I took the Triumph 850 Sport. It comes with a 19-inch front wheel.
Okay.
See, when the advantage is over a 21 is more suited for the off-road with the spoke wheels. So the 19-inch wheels, the U-turns are much easier. You can play around with the bike on the tarmac much more.
Okay.
You can go in and out of the traffic much easier.
Okay.
I mean, obviously a 17-inch is much better. But 19-inch is a good.
I think it's a balance.
Good balance, yeah.
Between trailing as well as tarmac.
Absolutely. See, you can't do, as I said, hardcore. Off-road, but since I'm a predominantly tarmac rider, 80% I would say, it makes sense for me.
Makes sense. And I've seen people doing some extreme trail rides as well with that bike as well. But I would say it's right there. You don't have to worry about either. You can just go ahead and get into it straight away. If you're on a tarmac and you want to switch to off-road, you can just quickly jump in.
No, absolutely. See, one more thing is my skills are limited off-road. Let me be honest. So I went for a trail ride with my friend. He's got a KTM 390. So midway, we exchanged bikes. I was much more comfortable on this, and he did a lot on my bike. And he said, "This bike is better than my bike." I felt the other way around, frankly. So I think if you're an advanced rider, if your skills are good, my skills are basic. So if your skills are good, this is a better bike.
Okay.
Yeah. If your skills are basic, better to stick to an X-Pulse.
Which Which is a better bike? I'm sorry.
The 390 for
The
me.
390 for you
I
is a
had
better
more
bike.
fun on
Okay.
that because it was lighter.
Right.
And I could handle
You
it
could
better.
play around
Yeah,
with
play
it.
around with it better.
Right. Next question. We were talking about the heat earlier, but how do you feel riding it, cruising around in the city on a daily commute base for a daily commute?
Daily commute is, see again I'll tell you, frankly, it's not a commuter bike.
Okay, got it.
See, it's not a commuter bike. When you stop at a signal, there is wait. Any of these bikes, whether this bike or the very heavy BMWs, once you're on the go, is fine. But then you have to constantly hold the clutch.
Yep.
And all that stuff. So it's not a commuter bike. A lighter bike is always better in the city. But having said that, it does a decent job.
Okay.
See, one more aspect, anywhere you go, even on the highway, there is 10% of city riding. Absolutely. Unless you leave early in the morning and come late in the night.
True.
You cannot avoid the city.
True. Especially in Bangalore.
Yeah. So I would say it does a decent job. It's not meant for the city.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ask you a very hypothetical question. Would you ride the bike in Silkport traffic?
No. I know a lot of people who do it, but I wouldn't.
All right.
Even with the heat deflectors.
Got it. Next question is on the highway. Touring. I want to know how comfortable is it to tour with? What are the best features of this bike when you're touring?
See, Ergo. Yeah. Excellent ergonomics. Upright sitting position. The foot pegs are perfect.
Okay.
Right. And then there's a lot of the seat is long.
Okay.
So you can move. Okay. So this is one thing, you can't constantly sit in one position on the seat.
Right.
When you're doing like 300 kilometers or 250, 300 kilometers on a single stretch, you need to move about. So this gives that flexibility. So you can move about. The wind blast is reduced after I've put the GV windscreens.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's improved.
All right.
And on the highway, there's absolutely no heat because of the speed.
So it's a very, very, very comfortable bike to go use on the highway.
Kilometers, it'll just gobble kilometers. But unfortunately, again, not a complaint, but all the roads now you can't go fast. Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking you don't even need a high-powered bike.
Very true. Now, coming down to after highways now, how does it perform in different terrains? Like we were discussing about this a little bit earlier as well, but I want to know how do you feel the suspension is when you're traveling on the highway on a patch of tarmac and a patch of off-road or a trail road?
Okay, so this I would say that the suspension is a Marzocchi 180 mm travel suspension is more suited for the road. It can do light off-roading. It bottoms out on big humps. Bottoms out on big humps, but small humps you can just fly through. You don't have to, you just stand. This is what I do, just stand and just reduce the speed. You don't even have to brake, just off throttle and you just fly over. So that's what I've experienced. And standing is not a problem on this bike. You can seamlessly sit and stand.
Right.
So even when you're tired sitting, right, on the bike, you can, instead of stopping and taking a break, you can stand for 10-15 minutes continuously and you can keep going.
Super. I want to go ahead and understand a little bit more about the performance of the bike, especially the engine. One critical thing which I want to find out is about the vibrations on the bike. And the third thing I want to know is the ride modes available on your bike.
Okay. So, the engine, I mean the spec sheet says 85 brake horsepower and 82 Newton meters of torque, more than sufficient. I've come from much higher powered bikes. I do not feel the lack of power. It's also more than the spec sheet, it's when the bike makes power, peak power.
Okay.
So I think it produces the peak torque at 6,500 RPM and the peak power at 8,500. So very accessible. The acceleration is excellent. You don't have to shift because of the torque, high torque. And that was a main thing, right? Yeah. I was looking for a high torque bike. Okay. I mean, you have a lot of bikes which are high BHP, but then you have to keep changing the gears. Yeah. High torque bike, same bike, you can
any gear just move it around.
Pulls from a low RPM. So the drivability in the city again is good. You don't have to keep changing gears. I put a quick shifter.
Okay.
So the thing with the quick shifter, again, you have to change it above 4,000 RPM.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the acceleration should be continuous. Yeah. So it works well. In terms of the engine vibration, there is a little bit of buzz after 120.
Right.
When you constantly, but it doesn't bother me, frankly.
Okay.
It's a very slight in the foot pegs, more on the handle. There is a slight buzz, not very intrusive.
All right.
So it doesn't bother me, frankly.
All right.
Yeah. So there is. If you ask me, there is.
And the third one is your riding modes.
Yeah. So it's got two modes: rain and road. Rain, it makes slightly less power, and the traction control kicks in.
Okay.
So it's just got two modes versus the GT and the Rally Pro, which has 5 modes. There's off-road, rain, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So I've never changed it. Yeah, even rain, off-road, I use the same road mode. I want the full power. Only thing is when I go off-road, I switch off the traction control.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise some technical sections the power cuts off, especially gravel, no. So when you're accelerating the engine, it cuts off. It doesn't spin. So So that's the only time. So that again, one grouse I have. Once you turn off the bike, you'll have to again go to the menus, which is pretty elaborate. Go in and switch off the traction control.
And if it just stalls in between as well, you'll have to do the same thing over
again.
Yeah.
No, if the ignition is turned off and on.
Completely turned off.
Completely turned on and off. Otherwise, it's there. So this again is a small grouse, but otherwise, yeah, it does work well. So there are only 2 modes.
So the next thing which I want to understand is if you have modified your bike in any way, or if you can give us some brief insights on the accessories that you have added onto your bike. I think you covered that a little bit earlier about the sum guard as well as the heat deflectors. But and apart from the Mad Dogs, anything else that you have accessorized your bike with?
Yeah, the pannier racks. I use the soft one. I don't have a top box because I feel the handling goes with the top box. I can't dip the bike.
Right.
Again, maybe my limited skills, but I've seen that. So I have the pannier racks. I use soft bags.
Okay.
And then the same thing, the engine guard and plus the radiator grills. The basic accessories. I haven't put anything else. Yeah.
Very important question that I have to ask you. Kitna deti hai?
The mileage in the city is around 20.
Okay.
I get around 20. On the highways, if again it's speed dependent.
Yep.
It depends whether you accelerated, you're looking to blast it rev it at each gear, take it to the rev limiter.
Okay.
If you're riding at a sedate 100, 120, gives around 24, Aram say 24, 25 without...
What's the fuel tank capacity in this bike?
It's 20 liters. Okay. So if you're looking at even 20, that gives a 400 kilometer range.
Okay. So it gives a proper 400 kilometer range.
I've got even more, 420.
Okay.
Close to 420. I've pushed it.
That's a very good range for a full tank.
Yeah. But this is driving sedately, 100, 120. But if you go above that, it falls down. Okay. Yeah.
Have you encountered any problems with this bike during your ownership? Like, what is the common problems that a Tiger owner can expect?
Okay, I wouldn't say problems. I would say more to the from the service center or from the dealership where I bought it. So the first day I bought the bike, I wanted to take it to Mangalore. So I ride it for a kilometer and I see that the quick shifter falls off. My gear lever and the quick shifter is disconnected. It's fallen on the ground. So then I had to call the RSA and then I had to get it. Yeah, the very first day. very
first day.
Yeah. Very auspicious beginnings. I was like, shit, where did I get myself into?
Are you comfortable revealing the name of the...
Everybody knows there's only one dealership for Triumph. Or 2 now, but back then there was only one. So everybody knows who it is.
I think everybody in the biking community knows this, but not taking any names for certain purposes. But trust me, I think all of the Triumph owners are pretty much tired of the dealers.
Yeah, so and okay, they fix it back, but they hadn't calibrated the gear, the quick shifter. So it's not going up. I had to use the clutch. Bloody, I'm like pulling it, pressing. I'm like, is there something wrong with my technique? So I like after 3-4 times, finally they calibrated. Now it's working. Touch wood. Okay. But apart from that, I haven't had the problems.
Okay. What are the common issues that you've seen or heard in the Tiger forums?
What I've heard is people who travel to the north, right, because of the quality of fuel, the fuel filter gets clogged and then the bike stops.
Okay. Is there any certain type of, I would say, minimum requirements for a fuel here? In terms
I've only used 95.
Okay.
Even I look for a 90. I carry in a jerry can sometimes when I'm doing this one. I've maybe a couple of times only I fill 91 octane, but otherwise it's always 95.
Is there any recommended fuel mixture for this?
No, 95 is what they say, but 91 it runs without a problem. I think you'd only if you're looking at high performance is when the
You feel
octane,
the difference.
yeah. When you're constantly. So there's one more thing, accessory. I put a BMC air filter.
Okay. How do you feel that? How was the performance overall after installing the BMC filter? Is it something that you would recommend?
It's too subtle that I've noticed. I don't have the sensitivity, frankly.
Can you help us understand a little bit more about the instrument cluster as well as the dashboard?
See, the instrument cluster per se, I would personally say it's small. This is one thing what I miss from the GT Pro lineup. Because they have a 7-inch versus a 5-inch.
Right.
And funny thing is, the rev counter, when you put it, it's only got the rev counter and the speedometer. So you can't see the other parameters, the fuel, the time, whatever stuff. So I would like something where everything I can see together, because I'm somebody who likes to see numbers.
Is it user friendly, the entire overall dashboard?
It's not, because to get it, like as I said, to get into the traction control thing, you have to navigate through various menus, and I mean, you get used to it, but I wouldn't say it's intuitive. It's more counterintuitive.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah. It's not very user friendly. So since I'm using the bike for a long time, I know it.
How easy is it to source parts?
I haven't come to that stage, but I've heard horror stories. So let me be honest, I don't know. Yeah.
What would that one thing be if you had to improve about your Tiger?
The weight. I know I'm getting greedy, but yeah. Apart from, and a little more. So now I rode the Vivek's 850, the 800 VStrom. I think the low-end drivability is better in that. So probably the low-end drivability, probably it's because of the nature of the 2-cylinder versus the 3-cylinder. I found that initial torque and power slightly better.
Right.
Yeah. The drivability. Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and drop some quick questions. I want your opinion on. We're going to go ahead and compare bikes, and we want to understand a bit more from your end. What would you choose? The Tiger 850 Sport versus the Transalp.
Okay, so I was lucky enough to ride the Transalp for an hour. I went to the Honda showroom and they were kind enough to give it to me for an hour. I've extensively ridden that. Beautiful balance bike. It's better balanced than my Tiger, frankly.
Okay.
For me, it doesn't work because of the 21-inch front.
Right.
U-turns are a pain. Whatever people say, 21-inch on the road, you cannot do what you can do with a 19-inch. But otherwise, the bike, the power delivery, very nice. Comparable to the Tiger. The heat is much less. Without any much less.
Okay. The next lineup I have for you here is 850 versus the VStrom 800DE.
Okay, so the VStrom, I rode it today before we started the interview. Vivek was kind enough to give me the bike.
Okay.
I love the bike. It's a nice bike. It was too short a ride for me to judge. The suspension is excellent. Again, the 21-inch front wheels. I think there's another model with 19-inch, right? The RE model. So I would probably look at that if I wanted to change. But again, you know what? They're all small, like 5%, 10% variation. Yeah. So I think you need to be happy with what you have.
The 3 things you hate about your Tiger.
I would say the
weight.
Yeah, as I said, I would like something lighter.
Okay.
I feel the suspension travel could have been a little more. It's 180 mm, a little more.
Ideal.
Because it still bottoms out. If there's a deep ditch or if it's the off-road is quite bumpy, it bottoms out. I feel the suspension travel could have been better. And fuel efficiency. Now I'm getting greedy. Fuel efficiency. Yeah.
I think that's. I think it's genetically coded in every Indian's mind on the fuel efficiency part. No matter how big a bike you buy, you always think about the fuel efficiency. And
but no real grouses per se. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd have changed my bike. So, and the fact that I don't want to change it. Yeah.
3 things you love about your Tiger.
It's very well balanced.
Okay.
It's an easy bike to live with. It's a good balance. It does everything. It's a good balance, good all round. I wouldn't say it's perfect in off-roading or tarmac or whatever. It's a good compromise bike.
So if you had to upgrade your bike, or if you're thinking of another bike, maybe a new girlfriend, what would your new girlfriend be? Would it be something?
See, actually now, yeah, to think about it, the Touareg 660 Aprilia, much lighter bike,
Okay.
produces the same kind of power, much more off-road capable, and plus it's pretty capable on-road as well.
Right.
So, but crazy pricing, yeah, like 20 lakhs, you get a Rally Pro with that. Yeah, but I think for my requirement that would suffice. It's got more than enough power. The Aprilia Touareg 660.
Sorted. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being on the podcast today. I think it's a festive day. I really appreciate that you're taking time out today and coming here. And thank you once again. Do like, share, and subscribe